Stranger Stories.
I was 5 coffees down and still shattered as I sat in the diner past midnight off Route 1. The waitress did her best to keep my cup filled. If she knew I wasn't going to tip, I don't think she'd have been so attentive. I finished my pastrami on rye and waited patiently for my ice cream. It was my little treat for myself for being on the home stretch. My hands shook from the caffeine, but my head still hung heavy with the fog of impending sleep. I needed to stay awake for 2 more hours. That's all I needed. Then I'd be home, in my own bed. The diner was modestly full for that time of night. The low murmurs of conversation did nothing to cover the sound of the bell as it rang, signaling another patron. I barely noticed the man in the black hoodie glide past and sit in the booth opposite to me. His jiggling leg caught my attention. "Psst," he whispered to me over the walkway. I returned the scowl. "What?"
Want to know something interesting?
he said in a Russian accent. I immediately thought he was going to try and sell me drugs. "Stop bothering me," I said, returning my gaze to the screen on my phone. He ignored me and leaned over anyways.
The waitress is going to drop that coffee pot in 10 seconds.
I peered up to see her pouring the coffee into another customer's cup. I wouldn't have said it was curiosity, more like someone says, "Don't think of a pink elephant. You kind of have to." Still, I found myself counting down in my head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nothing. I turned to face the man, finding it hard to suppress my grin. Then I heard the smash. My smile fell.
Don't beat yourself up. Very few people actually know how long a second really is.
Intrigued, I got up and shuffled to the seat opposite to him. "What the hell was that?" I asked.
Just a lucky guess.
"Bullshit. So what else are you going to do? Levitate? Chop someone in half?"
I want to play a game with you.
he said. I wondered what a man like him was doing in a place like this, in the middle of nowhere. Without thinking, I searched around trying to find a hidden camera, expecting to find myself on YouTube in the morning.
Brian,
He continued.
that is your name, right?
It was, but everybody called me Sonny. Long story. I nodded.
In a couple of minutes, a woman in a red dress will walk into the diner screaming. We will hear her distress. Everyone will look around and she will burst through those doors. Are you listening to me?
He said in an almost panicked tone, his Russian accent now authoritarian and unnerving. "Yes, yes," I said.
She's going to say there is a dead body in the parking lot. And you know what, Brian? They are going to think it was you.
"Why?" He held his finger up, signaling for silence.
3 seconds and the phone is going to ring.
We sat in silence for those 3 seconds. The pause held in the air made the atmosphere grow thick.
Can you hear that?
I heard the waitress say, "I'm still cleaning up this mess." My eyes widened. The man opposite to me smiled.
What is a déjà vu?
He asked. "It is when you feel that you know something was going to happen, and then it happens."
Exactly.
"Hang on a minute. Are you saying you had a déjà vu when the waitress dropped the coffee pot?"
Yes.
But déjà vu is a feeling you get after it's happened, not before.
The human brain is incredible. It is constantly calculating what is going to happen in the future. And sometimes your brain works out something incredibly unlikely. You are unaware of it until it happens. I've learned to harness that.
"Bullshit," I said, almost spraying the man in spit. I turned as I heard a commotion from outside. He leaned forward.
We have less than a minute for you to make your decision.
My heart began to race in my chest. The fog of tiredness had now begun replacing my panic. All my concentration was now focused on the stranger in front of me.
Brian, you ran someone over in the car park.
I tried to recall, but all I could remember was coasting off in the highway and into the parking lot. I had the music up so loud and was so tired, it was possible.
He was a homeless man. He tried to flag you down, but you didn't see. You just ran straight over him and parked up. There is CCTV here. He will go to prison.
Why are you telling me this? I asked. My leg now jiggled. The man's was still. There was a large crash as the front door to the diner swung open. The bell rang out loud, as if it were as panicked as I was. A woman stood there. Her red dress barely covered her knees. It was just like the man said. "There's someone in the parking lot. I think they're dead," she screamed, her voice shrill, cracking on the odd syllable. "Someone, call 911.
Brian,
I ignored the man. I was in shock. I watched the waitress panic, rushing over to the phone that hung on the wall.
Brian,
The man shouted, pulling my hand towards him.
you'll need to get those CCTV tapes. It is the only way you get out of this.
I don't know if I could do that. What about my truck?
Give me the keys and I'll drive it to the next rest stop. When the dust settles, we meet there.
I saw blue lights in the distance. I had no idea if they were on the way here, but I couldn't take the risk. I pulled the keys out of my pocket and gripped them hard.
I'll distract the staff. It'll give you time to get to the back office and take the tape. Make sure you put another tape in. When you do, leave out the back door. Take that tape and throw it to the bushes. I'll come and collect it later.
Why are you helping me? I asked.
Deja vu.
He said.
You're going to help me not very long from now. I need to make sure that happens.
I give him the keys. He got up and calmly walked to the waitress, who was nervously swaying from side to side. The man I assumed was the manager talked to her. The man in the black hoodie walked past and struck up a conversation. The employees turned their backs to allow me to make my move. I never stole anything in my life, let alone obscure justice, but I knew what I needed to do. It was easy to enter the office. There was a small table with a laptop. A monitor hung from the ceiling in the far corner. On it displayed 4 security cameras. There was no VCR to be seen. I followed the cable into a metal cabinet. I opened it up. A few LED lights flashed. There was no tape recorder. Who knew where this sent its feed? It could have gone straight to the cloud for all I knew. I needed to destroy it, just in case. I looked around in the room for something I could use.
What the hell are you doing here?
I heard from behind me. I was looking for a weapon, just in case whoever did that was still here,
Get out.
he said, pushing me back into the diner. I saw blue lights rotate and shine on the diner walls. I was screwed. I sat back down in my booth and contemplated what would happen. I ran someone over. I was too tired to drive. Once they knew that, they'd know why I was in the back office. Huh. Is this what the guy meant by Deja Vu? If it was a little too late for me. When I saw the cop enter, the bell barely rung. It was as if I had tunnel vision. The walls were closing in. I was going to spend a long time in prison. In that moment, I was okay with that. Deja vu? If it was, at least it was helping me cope. The woman in red was nowhere to be seen. I guess she was outside with the police, telling them how she found the body. The hoodie man I was speaking to before was gone. At least he got away. I knew where to tell the company where the truck was. I really hoped he wouldn't get into trouble for taking it away from the crime scene. He did everything to help me, and he was a complete stranger. How did he not see that coming? The police radio crackled into action. I didn't take in the garbled sound as my mind tried to come to terms with what I was going to tell my wife. Oh Jesus, my wife. I never even thought of her. My heart sunk. Copy that, the officer said, and left the diner. I waited 30 minutes for the cop to return. He never did. More coffee? The waitress said. It's on the house, for all the unpleasantness we just went through. She filled my cup. What do you mean? I asked in a daze. She put her hands on her hips and in a delicate southern accent said, False alarm. Seems the body that was outside was just a homeless guy dead drunk. I don't understand. The cops took him away. I thought he was dead. So did the poor lady. She looked more relieved than any of us. A nice man offered her a lift in his big truck. The pennies fell into place, slowly but surely. Can I ask you something? Sure, hon. Why did you drop your coffee pot? I didn't, she said. I forgot your ice cream. Don't worry about that. No, I insist, she said and disappeared into the kitchen. A couple of minutes later she returned. Here you go. The bowl was full of vanilla ice cream covered in raspberry syrup. I dug in. Take your time, sweetie. Just heard on the radio there's a pileup on the freeway. A semi-truck broke through the central reservation and burst into flames. It'll be a while before that's cleared. Can I refill your coffee? Please. The diner was now full again, sounds coming from everywhere. A man in a black hoodie glided past and sat in the booth opposite to me. His jiggling leg caught my attention. Psst, he whispered to me.